At that time that I was like, oh my God, I see this so many times. Am I freaking delusional? I can honestly say that there have been resumes I've seen in my recruitment career that I closed within seconds. Also, because why in the world would there be such a thing as an ATS rejecting a resume because of a template? Think about that. There is no logic behind that advice. How to get there in a few basic steps. Hey you! Welcome to the Career Power Play podcast. I am your host, Sylvana Mulder, and in this podcast we're talking careers. No BS, no fluff, just the real deal. Today is the very first episode and I'm super excited to get started. The first episode is about the topic I get questions about a lot, and there's just so much bullshit advice out there. So I'm here to clean up the fluff and give you the real deal. Let's dive in. Let's just talk about resumes for a second. I see two types of advice when it comes to resumes. One being make sure your resume stands out by using colors and icons. Two being people don't care how your resume looks like. Which is, I honestly see these kinds of advices all the time when it comes to resumes, and the fact is that these both are not true. You are making your resume stand out by using your personal brand. Are you someone who uses colors? Then use those in your resume to make your resume on brand. Are you someone who solely uses black and maybe occasionally a shade of dark blue? Then stick to those. And people do care how it looks like. I can honestly say that there have been resumes I've seen in my recruitment career that I closed within seconds because they gave me a huge error when looking at it. Way too much text, missing logic, it was crazy town. So what you want to be doing with your resume design is you want to make it on brand and don't use things that don't make sense for you. That's it. And people give you these bullshit advices like you have to use these kind of templates, you have to use these kind of colors, you have to use these icons, just so they can sell you their templates. That is the only reason behind it. There is no logic behind that advice. So yeah, this is your no fluff, no BS advice because you don't need all of that stuff. It is the most important thing about your resume is that you can look at it and you can say, yeah, that feels like me. And that is the most important thing. And that is either way how you are going to stand out because there is not another you in this universe. So, how to get there in a few basic steps. Get clear on your personal brand. How do you want others to see you? And that is the beauty of a personal brand. 2, get yourself a resume template with a good outline. It doesn't matter where you will get it from. It doesn't matter if you buy it from somewhere, someplace. It doesn't matter if you find one on Microsoft Word. They might have, I'm not really a big fan of using Microsoft Word for resumes, but they also have a few good templates, and Canva has amazing templates. So my suggestion would always be Canva because it's just way easier to use. You can literally drag and drop everything in the place where you want it to go. And you cannot do that with Microsoft Word. I know I have yelled at my computer using Microsoft Word so many times because, then you want to change something and then suddenly you cannot change it and then you try to change it and suddenly it goes somewhere else and suddenly it disappears. It frustrates me. So Canva is the way better option for that. And number 3, analyze your work experience and only add the achievements that are important for the role that you are applying for. And when we're cutting down those steps in smaller steps, it looks like this. Get clear on your personal brand. So what do you want others to say about you? How do you want them to describe you? What visuals make you happy? What is your what, how, and why? Those are the most important thing about your personal brand. Then get yourself a resume template with a good outline. Look for a resume template where they've put the most important information in the F shape, because research has shown that those are the things that people look at first. The most important things are definitely your name, of course, contact details, your summary, and your work experience. Your education can go outside that F shape since it's not the most important thing. Except when you just graduated, then education is like almost the most important thing. But when you've built up your years of work experience, your education is not that big of a deal. Of course, it has to be on your resume, but it doesn't have to be inside the F shape. So you want to use the F shape for the most important things. And if you have built up like 5, 6, 7, 10 years of work experience, you want to start with your work experience because that is most relevant, most recent, and all that. And also in terms of education, if you've done like trainings, courses, and you have some certificates, put those above your like bachelor's degree and all that. Because that is more recent, and you always want to have the most recent things on top. So keep that in mind. And then you add your personal brand to that resume template to make it your own. Up to the next one. Analyze your work experience and only add the achievements that are important for the role that you're applying for. So what you want to do here is go through your work experience, decide what's important for that role and what isn't. Take off the things that aren't important. And with that, I mean that you want to take out the things that aren't important for that role. So if you are a product marketing manager, for example, and you are applying for a role that doesn't really involve graphic design, but it's more of a sales, like more towards a sales role, then take off the graphic design. I'm not even sure if this kind of role exists, but just an example, if they are not asking in that role, in that vacancy for graphic design skills, then just take it off your resume because it's not important. You want to really focus on the things that matter to them, matter to that role, and you want to put that in your resume. And instead of putting your responsibilities, add your achievements. Inside those achievements, try to add statistics wherever possible and make them bold so that they stand out. And when you are struggling with finding, your achievements, just try to reverse engineer. So think about something amazing that happened in your previous employer. Maybe they have landed a huge client, made tons of revenue, saved so many time. Then you want to look at, all right, how do I fit in that picture? What did I do to contribute to that? And that is your achievement. And in terms of statistics, people always assume that statistics have to be about money, but it is not. Statistics can also be how big your team was, how much time you saved, maybe. Of course, how much revenue it provided. That is the best one. So if you have an achievement like that, you can use statistics like that, then use those. But if you don't, it doesn't mean that you cannot add statistics, because you can. You really can, trust me. Just really analyze it and think through it, and just think like in baby steps, how did it look like? And you will find your statistics. and you want to make them bold to stand out. And why you want to use statistics, by the way, just pops on the top in my head, is because numbers in things like a resume immediately catches the eye. So when a recruiter or someone else is looking at your resume and there are also just bold text, but also numbers and like the percentage mark, those are things that really stand out right away. And if you want to make even more sure that they will see it, you make it bold, and that is amazing. Lastly, please be careful for people selling ATS approved templates. You can buy them, of course, if you like the template, but don't just do it because they are ATS approved. Recruiters will open your resume to look at it and it won't be rejected by the ATS just because you have the wrong template. The only reason why an ATS could reject your application is because you've answered knockout questions where it shows that you're missing out on really important criteria, and they have added that setting beforehand. So you can, with an ATS, in an application form, you can add certain questions and you can say if they answer this or if they answer outside of this scope, then it's not a good fit and reject them. But other than that, it doesn't happen. And I was like, I've seen this so many times the past few years that I was actually starting to doubt myself because it has been talked about so many times. But what you often see is that the people that talk about that being like existent and being a real thing, and of course sell those templates, they are often the people that don't have the recruitment experience. And if they do, I am really, they don't. But at that time that I was like, oh my God, I see this so many times. Am I freaking delusional? What is happening? And I asked a bunch of other recruiters that I know, that I've worked with, that I haven't worked with, that are my friends. And they're like, no, this is not a real thing. This never happens. Never happens. So please let that be a lesson to you. Also, because why in the world would there be such a thing as an ATS rejecting a resume because of a template? Think about that. That could make a company miss out on a lot of really good candidates just because they use the wrong template. It makes no sense at all. So please don't fall into those traps. All right, you guys, make sure to follow for more Career Power Play episodes because power isn't given, babe, it is played. If you have topic suggestions or just certain questions you would like me to answer, make sure to send me an email at community@fiercecareers.co. So not .com, .co. I would love to hear from you. Talk to you next week. Bye.